Okay, we're learning about middays, good middays. So the Rambam brings it down. I mean, good Kitzur is quoting from the Rambam. So somebody could come along and say, if jealousy is no good, and honor is no good, and temptations are no good, you know what? I won't do any of that stuff. I won't eat meat. I won't drink wine. I won't get married. I won't have a nice house. I won't wear nice clothing. I mean, he doesn't. I won't drive a nice car. I'll put on sack and ashes, and that's what I'll wear, because, You
become a monk.
Yeah. So he says that's also a bad thing. Not for a monk. The Goyim could do it. But he says a Jew is not allowed to go on such a path. Why? Because even a Nazir, who abstains from wine and from cemeteries and things like that, when he finishes being a Nazir, when he finishes the duration of being a Nazir, he has to bring a korban chatos, a sin offering. So the Gemara asks, why Nazir is a holy guy? He doesn't cut his hair, he doesn't go to cemeteries, he doesn't drink wine. Why does he have to bring a korban chatos? So the Gemara says, because dayach mashal sarta halacha Torah. It's enough what the Torah forbids. Meaning in simple English, don't be more religious than the Torah. The Torah says you could drink wine, you can cut your hair, you can go to, unless you're a kohen, you can go to cemeteries. Don't be more religious than the Torah. And therefore, a person who goes in the opposite extreme of those things that the Torah says you should do and could do, and a person abstains from it, is also considered a sinner. And therefore, a person should not make vows and all the, to forbid certain foods. The only time it's brought down in halacha is when it is allowed, is what happens if a person's like overly indulged in meat. Okay, and he wants to break the habit, so to speak. So then he makes a vow not to eat meat. So then he's doing it for a purpose. Then it's okay, because he's trying, not because he wants to be more religious than the Torah. No, he wants to stop being overindulged in meat or wine or whatever it may be. So then it's, what?
What if a person that has an addiction to, let's say, sugar or something like that?
So then, again, that's when a vow would be allowed. Yeah, but B'chlal is brought down, a person should make bli neder anytime they make do anything for that matter that's good. Even in the Hatars and Darim, we say Erev Rosh Hashanah. We say Eizan Hoga Teva Shenohakti Shleisha Pa'amim V'la Hisneisi Shei Bli Neder. Even a good deed that I did 3 times in a row and I didn't make it should be bli neder, it also becomes a vow, because that's the halacha. If you do something good 3 times without stipulating bli neder, it also becomes a vow. Now, there's a very interesting machlekes he brings down at the bottom. We're learning about not being more religious than the Torah. What happens, we know, let's say, meat and milk fall into each other. So if it's bottled b'shishim, right? If it's 60 times the amount, then it's kosher, right? If milk falls into meat and it's 60 times the amount, it's kosher. What happens if somebody says, yes, I know the Torah says it's kosher, but I don't want to eat it? I don't want to eat it. You know, the Torah allows it, but the guy I don't want to eat it. Is he allowed to or not? So some people say, you're not allowed to do that. Why are you not allowed to do that? Because Torah says, yeah, it's kosher. You're like contradicting Torah. You're saying God, you're more religious than God. I mean, it's wrong. Other poskim hold, though, that you are allowed to be machmir. You are allowed to be strict. You're not saying that I'm more religious than the Torah. It just says, listen, I'm not comfortable eating that food, because, even though Torah says you're allowed to eat it.
It's kind of like a yellow light.
Huh?
It's kind of like a
yellow light. Torah says you can eat it, but they bring down like this, something which is not at all a doubt. Something which is not at all a doubt. And everybody, the meaning is everybody uses it or does it, then you shouldn't, again, be more religious than the Torah.
How about the meat that Yosef, this one is this is something strange, if you don't buy this one, nobody eats this kind of meat, because that Yosef will buy some. That's not the neighbor?
Let me tell you the way it works in the Jewish business. You know Yiddish business? Okay. There was a concept, they explained this somewhere, I remember where it was. There is a concept in the shtetlich in Europe, in the small cities, there's a din in Torah called shchutei chutz. Literally means shchutei chutz, you shech the korban outside the Beis Hamikdash. Shchutei chutz. You shechted outside the base of mikdash. That was a terrible sin. But now it became an expression. Shchutei chutz means if they bring in a shechita from outside your city. Okay, for instance, in the shtetl time, there was a concept. The shtetl, right? I mean, a decent sized shtetl had a rav and a sheichet. You know, they had their own rav and sheichet. So then the din was they didn't allow meat in from a different city. If somebody wanted to import meat from a different city, they didn't let. The rav didn't let. Why didn't he let? Because there's a sheichet here. Why are you going to take business away from him? Right? So officially became this sheichet that was under the rav's auspices and jurisdiction. The rav knew and trusted him. Another sheichet, he might not trust. So years ago in the shtetl, there was a thing called shchutei chutz. The Taka didn't let in foreign meats. When you have, even in Eretz Yisrael, and you have in America, many places, you have a kihila. You have a Satmar kihila, and a Ger, and Bobev, and Chabad, and you have all the different various communities. So there are communities that don't let in anybody else's shechita. They don't let in anybody else's shechita.
It's not kosher?
Not because it's not kosher. Number one, they say, this is the people we know, this is the people we trust, this is our community, we don't want to bring in, for the same reason, first of all, it takes away business from the local stores and from the sheikhet and all that. But what's more interesting is, this was an example, I'm sure it's not only in Antwerp. There was a case, I don't know if it goes on now. In Antwerp, there were two kehilas. Okay, there were two from communities in Antwerp. And they had like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday was this community shechita, and Sunday, Tuesday, whatever it was their community shechita. And the one community had their hechsher for those days, and the other community had their hechsher for those days. What was interesting, it was the same sheichet for both. It was the same sheichet for this kehila and this kehila. But this sheichet shechted Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever. So the other community didn't let in that meat on those days. It's the same guy, the same sheichet, the same everything. But there was a community. This is this community. They're not saying it's, obviously they're not going to say it's not kosher, the other one, because it's the same guy shechting for them. But there is a concept in halacha of a community to support the community, and that this community that we trust and this guy we don't trust, and that's the way it worked throughout Jewish history, by the way.
This is all economy.
My father used to tell me in Esfahan that the shochet could not do more for a butcher than the other one, to make sure that other butchers, they don't go out of business. So they would check certain cows, like one or two for each one, to make sure everybody has business.
Let me tell you a little secret. And that, by the way, if the Rav of the city instituted that, if the Rabbi instituted that takana, it became a law in Torah, and it was forbidden to do it different. Because the Rav that represented Torah, Apidin, there is a concept, Hasagas Gvul, right? Hasagas Gvul means you can't take away somebody else's business, right? There is a din in Torah like that. So if a Rav of community would feel that bringing in other things here would be Hasagas Gvul, taking away business, they were Apidin, and you have to listen. Halachically, you have to listen. It's just, let me tell you something else. If, let's say, the Satmar Kehillah decides that Monday morning is a fast day. Monday is a fast day. For whatever reason, there's problems in the community, God forbid, tragedies happen, Satmar Kehillah comes out. Now there's two Satmars, hard to know. But let's say the Satmar Kehillah would come out and they would say, Monday is a fast day. Yeah. Everybody of the Satmar Kehillah has an obligation to fast. They all have, unless if they come out, sick or pregnant, or, you know what I mean, something like that. But if they come out and they say Monday is a fast, everybody of that kehillah has to fast. Chabad wouldn't have to fast. Ger, Bobev, Litvish wouldn't have to fast because they're not the Rav of their community. Right? If their Rav of their community makes a ruling, so then the din is you have to keep it.
Is there competition for the prices?
No, years ago the Rabbanim controlled the prices. There was a story once in the Shtatlach that the Goyim knew Pesach, everybody needs to eat fish. So they hiked up
fish prices.
3 times the price of the fish.
They do it now.
They do it now also, but now you don't have the power like this. What did the Rav do? The Rav came out and ruled nobody's allowed to eat fish on Pesach. That's what he did. He came out with a psak that these are true stories, by the way, that nobody is allowed to eat fish on Pesach. What happened? Nobody ate fish. The fish guys got stuck with their verstukene fish, the smelly fish, and they learned the lesson. Go ahead. So then they said, okay, but Rabbanim today don't have the power to answer your question. No, I halachically they don't. What?
Is it also to have like a competition like open next to your store that like or whatever is halacha?
The Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, okay, in the last volume of Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says you're allowed to open up chanus b'tzad chanus. You're allowed to open a store next to a store, same business. You say, listen, whoever comes to me comes to me. Whoever comes to you goes to you, and I can give out prizes of there was giving up nuts. That was the. He said, just like I do it, you do it. Okay, he said, Midas chassidus. He said, the problem is limonim, he said, not to do it. But that's only, by the way, just in a broader halacha, that's only if it's the residents of that community. Let's say in Crown Heights or Borough Park or wherever it may be, yeah, a guy that lives in Borough Park wants to open a competitive store in Borough Park. So then it's difficult for Rabbanim to stop him. But if a guy from Flatbush wants to come and open a competitive store in Borough Park, the Rabbanim in Borough Park have the ability to stop him from opening. See, there's a difference. If a guy is part of the community, it's hard to stop because he also wants to make a parnasa. He also wants to make a living. But for somebody to come in from a different neighborhood, then as a rule, and again, there's zillions of details in these dinim, but as a rule, they would have the ability to stop them from opening.
Do Rabbanan have that power today?
It depends which community. Certain Rabbanim have power. Yeah, halachically they do have power, whether people listen or not to something else. Anyway, so this is the machlekes.
People listen, there's a power.
Yeah.
Rabbi, if a vegetarian doesn't eat meat because of the rachmanut for animals,
No.
is it allowed? It's the same thing. Now he wants to say I have more rachmanut than Hashem. Is it allowed?
You want my personal opinion out as a Rav? Yeah, you shouldn't. You should eat the meat. Because according to Chassidus, you eat the meat, you elevate the meat. It becomes part of the person, the blood, so you elevate it. The Rambam writes that you shouldn't, the Rambam writes that if God was completely merciful, he wouldn't allow us to eat meat at all. He wouldn't allow us to kill an animal. Shechita is the most humane way of killing an animal. But according to Chassidus, so to speak, for a person to say, I have pity on animals and therefore I want to be a vegetarian or vegan or whatever it may be, is not, I'm not saying it's against Torah, God forbid.
It doesn't include
It's not against Torah, no. But it's in a certain, listen, to make a vow is not forbidden either. It says you shouldn't. But, Torah says you can shech the meat and you can eat it. Like, why you stop what?
Let's say goyim, they don't have to do the shechting process. So
Right.
for them, maybe it should be as
Listen, before the flood, nobody ate meat. Right? That's why the seventh Noah, why the seven mitzvahs b'nei Noach are called seven Noahite laws. Why aren't they called seven mitzvahs b'nei Adam? No, really, Adam Rishon. They should be called, why are you called seven mitzvahs b'nei Noach? So it says, because Adam, the Rambam says, Adam Rishon was given 6 mitzvahs. The 7th mitzvah was given to Noach after the flood. What was the mitzvah? Eivim menachai, eating a live limb off an animal. Before the flood, it didn't apply because they weren't allowed to eat meat. So of course you can't not eat a live limb off an animal. You couldn't eat the animal anyway. So after the flood, when Hashem said, now you can eat meat, then Hashem said, but you can't eat, you can't take a live limb off an animal. Therefore it's called Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach, because Noach got all 7, so to speak. But the word Sheva, what?
So going back to the beginning of this, wasn't there a whole argument between the Rabbam and the Rabban about the Nazir, the whole issue?
There was a lot of arguments about a lot of things.
No, about...
But if it's a sinner or not?
Yes.
No, because the Gemara clearly says that he has to bring a sin offering because The Gemara says in Seit Kitzur Shulchan really that he's also chait. He's also called a sinner. So he couldn't argue against it. Okay.